The anthology that I want to share with you today is 5 stories that tie in with what we're talking about. The first one I like to call the job. When I first started working as an accountant in a company that nobody ever grows in, I had the opportunity to leave that and to work at a very famous bank, the National Bank of Kuwait, NBK. They would have offered more money at the time. My mom was pushing me to take that job, but I said, thanks, but no thanks. I will stick with this job that had a manager from hell who made my life hell, but eventually I knew it would lead to something good. And it did. I grew as a person, I got better jobs. Because of the start I got in that company, where I taught myself how to type Arabic really fast, I taught myself how to type without looking at the keyboard in Arabic, and it all helped me out later on in life. At one point, I thought I had my dream job. I had an older manager who retired or was fired, I never found out. But when he left, they brought in a young gun to replace him. And to say that I fell in love with this person would be an understatement. I did a lot of stuff for that guy that I would never in a million years have imagined I would do. I slept in the office to finish a report. I worked with him past midnight on several occasions. I would work Fridays at his house, and keep in mind, I used to live in Kuwait where Friday was a day off. So I would work on the weekends. He'd been to my house. He'd carried my son, because when he was born and I wanted to give his mom a break, I would take him to the office with me when I'd never leave the office on time. He was the Harvey Specter to my Mike Ross. Until I found out the hard way that he is a workaholic, very badly. Like on his birthday, his actual birthday, which was on a Thursday, his daughter is calling him saying, Dad, please come home. We want to go and celebrate you. We want to blow out candles. We want to have a party. My younger sister is falling asleep. And he kept pushing her off because we had a report that needed to be finished. He promised that if I stayed in the office that day, that I could take a vacation, that I don't necessarily have to report properly. So I did. And when it came time for him to pay up, he refused. And what made it even worse is that he was verbally abusive. I believe now the term I was looking for is gaslighting. I was gaslit by this person. And he made it so that I resign from the company. Now, I'd been an employee until that time, for 7 years. 7 when we started, so 10 years. 10 years I'd been working, and he was the rock that stood in my path and completely derailed my career. My last working day with him was November 2017. In April of 2018, I was offered another job for another company, making the same exact amount of money. Everyone was telling me I should take it, but part of me said, thanks, but no thanks. For a year, I was bouncing around doing jobs that I had never done before in my life. I was on social media. I did an ad with George, if he's still here. And it was an enlightening year of my life. All because I said thanks, but no thanks to taking a job that I did not feel right about. The other story has to do with, it's a little earlier in the tapestry that is my working life, but it's also fairly interesting because in the second job I had, I made friends with my managers, my supervisor's roommates. He was a really cool guy. He was the coolest guy in the office. You could just tell that this person was cool. Amr Mursi, that was his name. Shout out to Amr Mursi. I'm going to show him this video later. Like I said, he was cool and you wanted to be his friend. So what happened was he ended up leaving this company. And a magazine gets delivered. A magazine gets delivered in his name to our office. Now, the secretary said, we'll just give it to your supervisor who is his roommate. He'll give it to him. I said, thanks, but no thanks. He's my neighbor. I'll take it to him myself. So I go to Amr to give him a magazine. He goes, I'm going to a gym to sign up. Do you want to come with me? I said, sure, I have nothing to do. Now, mind you, the gym that I had already signed up to was roughly 15 KD for a year. 15 KD, for those who are mathematically challenged, is about $60 for a year, okay? I go with him to a gym, and 1 month costs 25. But he wants to sign up. Usually, I would say, hell no, that's too much money, because I'm still building myself up. But something in me said, sign up for that gym. And I did. But here's the kicker. I left my wallet in his car. He picked me up from my house when I gave him the magazine, and we went to sign up at the gym. So he paid for me, and I told him, I will pay you back. And then we're talking, sharing stories, and I forgot to take my wallet from his car. We go to the next day, and I needed something urgently at work, and I noticed that I forgot my wallet. So I call him up, and I say, hey, Amr, I need my wallet, man. So he's like, come over to where I'm working. And mind you, this is before locations and GPS, and so you just had to know how to get there. So I go there, I go up, I take my wallet, and we get to talking, and he asks, would you like to work here? At the time, I was a tax auditor. No career in that in Kuwait. He was offering me a job in internal audit. I started at the bottom. And now I'm in Canada as a senior auditor because of that magazine. And because I told the secretary, no thanks, I will take it to him myself. This third story is called The Shirt. When I was in Thailand, and no, this is not the story of when I was molested by an elephant in Thailand.
Can we get to that later?
This is the story of when I got a shirt in Phuket. Now, I thought I was getting a steal because initially the person wanted to charge 1,500 baht for a t-shirt, and I'm sorry, I can't do the math, I can't remember how much that was, and I was able to get it down to 750. And I was really proud of myself. It was like this really cool shirt, it had holes in it, it was red, it had a dragon on it. It was amazing. I told the guy I'll come back and buy 2 more, but then I just never managed to get it back to him, and we traveled shortly after, and we went to Pattaya. In Pattaya, I found the same shirts for 250. So of course, being the mathematician I am, I was like, I'm gonna break even or break my loss, and I'll buy 3 of it. So I bought 3 more of that shirt. So I'm in Kuwait, which is a dry country, if you didn't know, no alcohol. I just started playing rugby. And at one of these rugby parties, they decide to make their own alcohol. They call it tea. I didn't know that. I signed up to help them make tea, and as a Muslim, you can't be around alcohol. You can't make it, for sure, But I went there, regardless. Could have been a deportation because that's how Kuwait rolls. But at this party, I'm wearing my red shirt. I get tapped on the shoulder. I turn around, and there's this Irishman, piss drunk, red face, red hair. And he offers to trade me for my shirt. He's like, I'll give you this rugby shirt. It's very famous. It's blah, blah. And I'm like, sorry, I don't play rugby. I'm here for the people. I was trying to meet women. No, thank you. I don't want it. And then he offers money. So initially, I was like, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not going to take your drunk shirt. But then when he offered money, I was like, okay, here's the shirt off my back. I will give it to you for the money. Fourth story is called loss. I come here every week to do stand-up comedy. With stand-up comedy, you take the shit that happens out there and you bear it with your soul on the stage. I've come to the conclusion that you can't be a good comedian if you don't experience loss. And in life you have to choose, like you don't get to choose the loss you have, but you need to be okay with it. So this is not a story I wanted to share in front of my 8-year-old, but I lost a marriage. But what do I have in return? Everyone talks about how they don't like their parents or how their parents passed away, and I have that in my life, and I'm very thankful for it. If I were ever to be asked, would you change the loss you have for, keeping a relationship? I would definitely answer that with thanks, but no thanks. Because every step I have taken along my life has led me to where I am today. And if loss is required as a catalyst for comedy, then I'm okay with the loss I have. One last story is opportunity. Now, I mentioned that I lived in a country called Kuwait. You will know that Kuwait has the strongest currency in the world. It's a tax-free country. I was born there. I lived my whole life there. I'm familiar with everything there. Spent 36 years of my life in that country. When I was given the opportunity to move to Canada, I threw that all away and I said, yes, I will go as a 36-year-old and move to a country that I've never been to, a climate I've never experienced. I hate winter. It is terrible. It is not what the postcard said. But I still made that move. Even though people are bending over backwards to move to Kuwait, I was running the other way. And even when people kept saying, why don't you stay here? The money is great. The life, you can do what you want with money. And I said, thanks, but no thanks. I will take my chances here. Thank you.
Can I explain to you why I don't have a lot of questions? It's a very good reason, because your stuff is so dense and so concise. I don't have a lot of follow-ups. And also, the last time I'd ask you questions about how does Kuwait possibly get money without taxes, and you explained it's all oil money. I will ask you about how you got molested in Phuket by an elephant at some future date, when there isn't an impressionable child in the audience.
He knows the story. I said it in my stand-up comedy. It's there. You can find it online.
I'm just amazed.
There's a picture too.
Can the picture be seen by somebody who doesn't have ID, proving they're over 18? Do you keep in touch with the elephant?
I did see him like 10 years later when I went back to...
Just had a cup of tea or something,
Remember me?
Maybe Christmas cards once a year or something?
Yep.
That is incredible. Thank you again for performing.
Thank you. Thank you.